Good day, everyone. Good day, viewers. My name is Muafaka Adadu, and you are on to your favorite program, Facts and Opinion, on the News Chronicle. And today, I'm not alone as usual. I have my friend, my colleague, and my brother.
My name is Pius Kadon, your co-host on the program Facts and Opinion, and today promises to be very, very interesting.
Yes, and talking about interesting, we are going to start with a very, very crucial and sensitive topic, which is the NAF bombing of Jili Market in Borno State. Now, talking about this particular place, Jili, the last attack that happened in Borno State, that happened in Benishek, that took the life of the General Brahima and some other younger soldiers. The attackers said they came from Jili. From reports that we were getting as at this morning, the attackers came from Jili. And the governor now of Borno State, Babagana Umar Zulum, came out to say that in the past 5 years, that market have been banned. So what was happening in that market?
First of all, I'm going to say it saddens my heart that each time we're here, we have to talk about one issue of insecurity or the other. And our heart actually goes out to the victims and of course the people that lost their lives in that very terrible airstrikes. And that particular area shares border with Yobe,
yes,
and Borno. I don't know how these two governors are working in synergy.
That is actually correct.
Containing some of these insecurity, issues. And another concerning part we should also look at is the precision, strikes that we are supposed to be, and because this is not the first time we're having issues where, though the Nigerian Air Force has not really issued any statement regarding this particular attack, but we've had similar incidents some time ago, I think 2 years ago, in Kaduna, where a gathering was, bombed, and the military authorities came out to tell us that, I don't know if they thought they were terrorists also, and some sources equally confirmed that that strike that went off that day was because the military authorities thought it was a gathering or even, a set of persons suspected to be Boko Haram or even terrorists.
Now,
so it tells you, it brings to question, the issue of precision when it comes to our operation in these warring parts of the country.
Now, here is my concern. My concern is not just about the precision strikes. My concern is about the communities, right? Now, some of these communities are not just communities, they are host communities to some of these elements, right? We know them, they know us, we are families. Okay, I have a cousin, I have a nephew, or someone, a husband who is a Boko Haram member, a bandits member, and they belong to this community. We give them protection, and at the end, if strikes like this happen, God bless their souls, innocents will definitely be affected.
Sure.
Yes, there might be some few Boko Haram members, some few bandits among when it happened, but then when you look at it, innocent lives will always be lost. Now, the issue is, why don't we as citizens understand that we already have a duty to perform to the country now? A lot of times, these people feel they have no duty to the country. So whatever it is that comes up, they have to just, these are their people. So they have to protect them. So for me, I feel we need to wake up to start performing our actual duties, apart from not just being there, giving the information. We need to actually wake up and be proactive.
Security is actually not
a business of everybody.
Yes, it's everyone's business. And this is one call that the present Minister of Defense, who is the former CDS, has always emphasized on the fact that we shouldn't leave this fight to the military alone. The civilians should also, know that they have a stake in what is happening, and help the military with relevant information. And even when the chief of defense staff, when he visited Borno State, I think he hammered on this call. He said citizens or even civilians in that state are aware of what is happening, because some of them are custodians of these terrorists, some of them know these terrorists.
Of course, that's
So
just
it is not something that we leave it to the military alone. I think it's a call on civilians in that state, or even in Nigeria as a whole, to, when you see something, you say something. It shouldn't just be a mantra. It should be something that we should, continue to put into practice.
Yeah.
And another thing before we, wind down on this is the issue of rules of engagement for the military. I think it's something they should reassess or even look into again, because you mentioned something on, innocent lives being lost in the line of their operation. I think the Nigerian military should look into the rules of engagement of our military forces, just so whatever it is they are carrying out, whatever operation they are carrying out, it doesn't involve innocent lives.
Well, yeah. I feel personally, I feel they are doing that. Just that it is almost inevitable when you look at the scenario and the kind of people we are dealing with. These are people that in a lot of cases use human shields also. You understand? From the people they kidnap to the community people, they use a whole lot of human shields. So sometimes it's almost inevitable for you to just cancel out those losses. But we pray we see peace. We pray we see peace. Borno State have been under siege for over 17 years.
Yes.
So we pray we see peace. All right, now moving on to our next topic. Another very, very disturbing topic. Why? It's because this is the bedrock of every economy. This is the bedrock, like we mentioned. We have mentioned this over and over on this program. This is the bedrock of every economy, and it is the power, right? Our power sector is still lacking, and right now some CSOs are threatening to take to the streets to protest the lack of power in Nigeria.
This is very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that we're still dwelling on the issue of power up until now. Looking back, the present administration, the president promised that if he does not supply power, he should be voted out in his second tenure. And then it is something that Nigerians have,
using
they brought it up to remind the president that, hey, we are approaching election season, and
where is the power?
Epileptic
God bless his soul. The former president, President Muhammadu Buhari, said, "Where is the power?"
Exactly. So it's very sad, because just like you mentioned, energy sector is one sector that holds our economy, and anything that touches the energy sector, touches on the breadth of SMEs, businesses, of course. And we all know that our economy thrives on all of these SMEs, and also if you are not fixing power, you are stifling these SMEs. And I really don't know how some of those businesses are actually coping. Are you looking at tax? Are you also looking at the fact that you can't actually power your business because the power is not there? So they have a lot of things, that they are being burdened with. And that is why when you go to the market, you see that prices are not stable, because there are so many factors that affect some of these businesses.
Also, a few days ago, I was having a discussion with a business owner and a homeowner, and he was telling me that, okay, he owns a pure water factory, yeah? And in the factory, they use estimated billing, so at home. And in the factory, the power bill coming to him monthly is about 450,000 naira. Now, this is an average business owner in Nigeria, right? And the bill coming home to him is about 250,000 naira in estimated billing. How much are you earning in the entire business? For you to still have to pay your staff. You still have to pay your staff, you still have to buy materials, you still have to pay your tax, you still have to pay a whole lot of bills now. What are you gaining from the business? So apart from just the fact that the power is not available, the ratings of the power also is very, very high.
So I know the Minister of Power, earlier stated that if he does not do anything to fix power in the next 2 weeks, Nigerians should hold him accountable.
I think we have our 2 weeks
the
have
two-
elapsed.
Yes, the 2 weeks has actually expired, and then we've not seen any tangible. In fact, we've not even seen anything.
We've not seen any change.
Any tangible change. So we just hope that. I think, like I've always told you, some of the ministers in this administration, there are tons of them that you don't even know.
You don't even know
them.
them.
Imagine what are they doing. And like I always say, I think the Minister of Power is one of those ministers that is not really popular for the right reasons. Yeah, because when you hear his name, it's either the power is this, the power is that.
Too many great collapse.
Exactly. So many things surrounding power, and I feel like it is high time that the president, especially after mentioning this in his campaign,
Yes.
it is high time that the president, did something better.
All right.
Especially.
I have one question for you. Now that these CSOs are coming out to take to the streets,
Yeah.
are you going to join them?
I don't really think so. Because protests in Nigeria don't actually end up well.
But
understand?
you're right.
Yeah, it's
But
actually
you're right.
alright to protest,
Yes.
but they don't really end up well most of the time.
Yeah. Well, but it's a good thing that we are speaking up, we are showing our concern, and we are telling our people that enough is enough.
Exactly.
Give us what we deserve. Yes, we need to do it in the right way. It has to be peaceful. Okay. All right.
While we talk about some of the issues in the power sector, I think there's one thing to comment, and then it's the fact that I think we now have prepaid meters. Supply
Yes, we have
solutions,
prepaid meters.
and I think that's one thing that is commendable.
Yes, of course. Okay. Pius, I have a question for you. Again,
Yeah.
what is the price of an average one-bedroom room and parlor where you stay?
500K upward.
500,000 naira upward. Now imagine an average family, of 4 earning 80,000 naira, just slightly above the minimum wage, right? How can they afford that conveniently? Now this is a family that also have to feed, have fees to pay, have utilities to pay, and a whole lot of other things. Imagine the hike in prices in rent all across the country. Now, this wasn't it for 3 years back. We had something way more bearable just a while ago.
The root cause of this is from what we discussed earlier, the energy sector. You understand?
Okay.
Ever since we heard that subsidy is gone, everything is
Everything is
skyrocketed, including rent and all. But for some people, they will tell you that these people built their houses long before now.
Yes.
How come they are, increasing the rent?
Yes.
And
With no form of renovation.
and they just feel it's not justified. But if things are going up, and then is there any justifiable reason, especially for landlords that increase these prices without renovation, without any form of revamping their house or anything? So I don't know. The Lagos state government before now, I don't know if it's still in place, but they initiated a model where you pay, is it monthly or so?
Monthly.
Yeah, generally here in Nigeria, what we do is that you pay yearly. And I just wish it's something that the federal government can look into and maybe create a ministry for that, a ministry for regulating.
No, my concern is not just about the paying monthly. Yes, the paying monthly is a good idea, right? It gives you that room to adjust.
Makes it flexible.
Makes it very flexible. The problem now is how much is it? Now, if I'm going to pay 400, 500, 6, 1 million per year, and my salary is just around 100,000 per year, no matter what I do, I will not be able to afford that amount per month. Spread it however you like.
So like you said, the issue is not even how much the rent is, but then the key issue is how much do you
earn?
wage, how much do you earn? The president in Lagos the other day was, comparing Nigeria to Kenya, saying we are actually lucky for getting fuel at this particular price, quote and unquote. Not exactly what he said anyway. But then he insinuated that we should be happy that we're not paying for fuel as much as other African countries are paying. But one thing he probably forgot to, in the analogy, one thing he probably forgot to point out is the fact that how much are workers being paid in Kenya, how much is their minimum wage, and some of these African countries, and then you juxtapose that with how much workers are being paid in Nigeria. So it's one thing that he fails to, compare.
And also being an oil-producing state, country,
yeah.
This is not something that we should even be talking about at this point. We had the NNPC refineries in Port Harcourt, in Kaduna, and some other places. Where are they today? Now, today we have the Dangote refinery, which is supposed to feed home before we take out, but we are still taking out before we attempt to feed home. Giving us a whole lot of reasons why there are too many angles that make this a whole lot wrong.
Our energy sector is quite messy.
Being very, very straightforward.
Yes, it's really messy because in the previous administration, we had the president, something that has never happened before, the president doubling as the Minister of Petroleum. And then, in some sort of way, many Nigerians felt like, okay, that's a sigh of relief. And then, coming from somebody who posed himself, the late president who posed himself as Mr. Integrity. So we thought that we were going to get it right. And then, we got ourselves in the mess that we are today. All through the 8 years, he was Minister of Petroleum, and then we didn't see any tangible change in that sector. And the coming of this present administration came with huge promises as to, turning around the entire industry, the energy sector, but we didn't really see anything tangible. We were talking about power just earlier, and then you could see how really quite messy the power sector is on top of petroleum, and also, it's time for our president to do something drastic about our power sector, our energy sector.
Like you said earlier, in this administration, we have a whole lot of ministers that we don't even know who or what they are. We don't know what they are.
Can I even ask you who is the Minister of Petroleum? Or maybe we should ask our viewers.
Yes, let's ask our viewers.
Who the Minister of Petroleum is?
Who is the current Minister of Petroleum is? Okay, we have talked about a whole lot of things today. Yeah. So, Pius, in 1 minute, give us a summary of your day.
We started with the, should I call it the accidental NAV airstrikes in Jili, Yobe State?
Yeah, Borno State.
Is it Borno State?
Yeah.
Okay. But I think they share border.
It's a boundary,
State. So my take on this is that, my summary take on this is that the military should work on precision strikes, you understand, and also revisit their rules of engagement. Just so if we are taking this operation to these non-state actors, we should not drag innocent lives into our operations. And more of what we are seeing is defensive instead of the offensive. And then it's a good thing that we're having the offensive from the military now. But unfortunately, it happened in such a manner that innocent lives also took the fall, which is quite sad. The second topic we actually talked about is the protests.
Yes.
The planned protest by CSO concerning power outage or the power crisis we're facing. It's going to be a constant call for me that the Minister of Power does something drastic. As against just giving us deadlines, embargo for 2 weeks if something doesn't happen. You guys should give me another grace of 2 weeks, give me another grace of 1 week, something like that. You're not the only Nigerian who is capable of handling this sector. If you can't really turn around this sector, a sector that is very important to our economy, you should how do they put it? If the kitchen is hot or something, you get out of. If
Get out of the kitchen.
I'm out of the kitchen. I mean, you will help me complete that anyway. The last part we talked about, which is the rising cost of living, which we particularly looked at, the rent increase in so many parts of the country. I just hope that, like we said earlier, the government will do something or even create a model that will check some of these excesses by landlords and the rest, especially landlords that increase their house rent unjustifiably without any renovation to their apartments and all, and also create some sort of maybe an agency or even a ministry that will look into some of these indiscriminate prices that some people put to their services. I understand that we have, we have promotional something. There's a government agency actually responsible for checking prices and ensuring that consumers are not being shortchanged. Yes, but I think they are not doing enough. I think we should have maybe a full-fledged ministry to look into this, and of course maybe abolish that form of yearly model of paying rent, and maybe look into monthly or even quarterly or so, just to make it flexible for Nigerians whose minimum wage cannot really take them home.
Okay, that's a lot. Actually, that's quite a lot. For the NAF airstrikes, I feel a more intelligence-driven strikes should be carried out. The Minister of Defense mentioned upgraded intelligence.
Yeah.
So hopefully we will see some changes, and hopefully we'll begin to pity ourselves more and not want to kill ourselves with exorbitant rates when it comes to power and also rent, amongst other issues. This brings us to the end of what we have for you today. We will be calling it a day here. I hope you will enjoy, and please engage.
Of course, they did enjoy it.
They did enjoy it, definitely. It was quite fun.
Yeah.
Please engage, comment, like, and share these posts, whatever platform, X, YouTube, TikTok, WhatsApp, wherever you are.
Of course, don't forget to share this topic we talked about. Don't forget that the program is facts and opinion. So your opinion also matters.
Yes. My name is Mohamed.
My name is Pius. Catch you guys.